Hey everybody! So today we're going to be responding to a video that a user on Twitter posted that claims to be the original Lord's Prayer from the Bible. Basically, she says, I found the original Aramaic version and I'm going to give you guys a translation of that. And it is not the Lord's Prayer, spoiler alert. It is a heretical nonsense prayer that has very little to do with God, is deeply unbiblical, and is heretical. So we're going to respond to it. We're going to expose it. But first, I'm going to show you more or less what the prayer looks like. This is the Our Father prayer, also known as the Lord's Prayer, from Matthew 6, verses 9 to, I believe, 12. And this is from the NIV translation, but the one that typically gets prayed is the one from, I believe, the KJV, because it uses that old style English. And the way it goes is, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That is what the prayer is. It's pretty short, as you can tell. I know this by memory in English and Spanish because I have to attend Mass, and obviously, they do this regularly, but also it's really short, very memorable. But the message is about God and praying to God for forgiveness and for His will to be accomplished, which is going to be relevant when we respond to this video. So now that we have established what the prayer is, I've showed you an example. It's not the best translation in the world, but it's from the NIV and you get the general idea. Let's press play on what she claims is the real version.
I want to read you the original Lord's Prayer from the Bible, which is insane to read because this is the direct Aramaic translation that they didn't tell us. And it's beautiful.
Okay, so right away we should be skeptical because she's saying this is the original Aramaic translation. Do you have a source for that? Do you have any scholar? And I don't just mean your TikTok page. I mean an actual scholar who says that this is the original translation. Why should we believe you over all of the different translations of the Bible that say more or less the same thing with, slightly different wording as the English language evolved? Why should we believe that those aren't faithful translations, but yours is? Can you give us a single source? What authority do you have to make these claims? You know Aramaic? Why should we trust you?
O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our bodies and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide.
So I've never seen in the Bible something that refers to God as cosmic. What did she say it was? Or
Ground of our body. They didn't, because this is the direct Aramaic translation.
Right, again, source.
They didn't tell us.
They didn't tell us because it's not real.
O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration.
Cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration. Give me a single verse in the Bible where we see God referred to as anything close to that.
Soften the ground of our bodies and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruit of your mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desires.
Okay, so this is where you should be suspicious because this is deeply unbiblical, because the Bible is not about you. Christianity is not a religion about you. It's not your feel-good New Age religion. It's the religion of Christ and what he did on the cross and his resurrection and his ascension and everything that has to do with him, not you. And the reason that I showed you the prayer in the beginning was because in that prayer it says, thy will be done, talking to God. So your will be done, not our will be done, not our desires, your desires. Do things according to your will, not our own. This is heresy. to believe that there's going to be a prayer in the Bible which is full of things about submitting to God, not giving in to desires of the flesh and stuff like that. Not everything that you want to do is something good. And this prayer, apparently, in that same Bible, is talking about your desires. I'm going to pray to God so that he gives me what I want. This is like prosperity teaching. And this didn't even mention the word God or Father, but this is prosperity gospel, almost trying to remove itself from Christianity. This is heresy. This is not consistent with the Bible in any kind of way, and it's actually not even consistent with the gospel that she's pulling from, which is Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew. This is Matthew 6. It's not consistent with Matthew 4 or Matthew 16 or anything in that gospel at all.
Endow us with the wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish.
Right, so this is not secular humanism. This is not the God of the humanists. This is the God of Christianity.
Untie the tangled threads of destiny that bind us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes.
What? Where does it say? Again, we veered way off course the original prayer and what it says.
Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, that illuminate the opportunities of our present moment. For you are the ground, the truthful mission, the birth, the power, and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole again. And so it is. That is not the same prayer.
No, it's not the same prayer. And I think that you made it up or are getting it from some other source, because look, at the end of that, you kind of get a little bit biblical because you're talking about fulfillment. Christ is the fulfillment of the Old Testament and all that kind of stuff. But there was no mention of the Father. There was no mention of God. Notice that there was no mention of God at all. This is just some kind of like secular humanist New Age nonsense that creeped its way into some Christian account. I don't even know if this person is sincere or not. Very clearly not, if they can't even tell that this is not consistent with the rest of the Bible. Do you read a completely different Bible from the rest of us? Because I can show you from the Gospel of Matthew right here. So in Matthew chapter 4, Jesus is being tempted in the wilderness by the devil several times, right? He is experiencing hunger and he's saying, I'll give you bread. You can turn stones into bread. And Jesus responds, no, people don't live off of bread alone. They live off every word that comes out of the mouth of God, right? And so he gets tempted again. You can read this. He's tempting him to throw himself down off of the temple. And then he said, do not put the Lord your God to the test. So he's being tempted to do various things in accordance with his desires. But the last one, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world. And he said, all this I will give you if you bow down and worship me. So he's trying to appeal to his desires, right? He's trying to appeal with not necessarily Jesus' desires, but the desires of the flesh, desires that people normally would have. And every time Jesus answers him, no, I'm not doing that because it isn't about me, it's about God. Here, read in verse 10. It says, away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and him only. So, again, this is not biblical. The prayer that she put forward isn't biblical at all, because the model for us is supposed to be Jesus, and he says no to all the temptations and all the desires of what we would call the flesh, the human mind, right? He came to perfect, or redeem, I should say, the human nature and the human mind, so that we can say no to temptations and all this kind of stuff. He said no to temptations, and he did not pray to his Father saying, hey, give me what I want. Actually, he said, do what you will, not what I will, in Matthew 26. So again, it's not consistent at all with the Bible. But you know what it is consistent with? I'll show you what it is consistent with. It's consistent with 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 3 to 4. Paul is talking about how people are going to turn away from true doctrine to myths that they want to hear. That's basically the prayer phrase of that verse. And that is what this prayer is consistent with. That's it. So let this be a lesson to people who are online looking at Christian posts. Not everything is going to be orthodox, and by orthodox I mean correct. Not everything is going to be biblical. That's a more Protestant-friendly term. Not everything is going to be biblical. Not everything that you see that says Bible you should just post blindly, because sometimes you're going to have stuff like this that is deeply unbiblical and that teaches false doctrine and creates its own version of Christianity that cannot be properly called Christianity anymore. This is more in line with secular humanism if it was theistic, and New Age nonsense, talking about cosmic vibrations and that kind of nonsense. So just let this be a lesson to you that not everything you see that appears to be Christian actually is. You have to examine it. That's why I always preach about how people should be scripturally literate, because otherwise they fall for this kind of stuff and don't even realize it and end up learning a completely different religion because they don't seek the truth for themselves. They don't search the scriptures for themselves, so they don't understand what it actually teaches. Anyways, let me know if you have anything else like this that I should respond to, because this might become some kind of series if I find more stuff like this. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Like and subscribe if you did like it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.